think we are live. Take a breath. I can feel all your energy. How's it going? So we got Bert, we got JB, Hannah Mori, and Bravery. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Let's see. I think that's right. Checking for sound real quick, so I apologize if there's feedback. Okay, sounds good to me. All right, how is everybody doing? Hey, Michelle, how's it going? You made it to one. I'm so excited. Okay, yeah, it's your first live. This is so exciting. Yay. I will notice you. You are here. Oh my gosh, this makes me so excited. All right, so we got 5 in the chat. So this is going to be a really interesting meditation today because, oh hey, how's it going? So we got Soul Moon's Rising and Aisha. We got a couple more joining us. All right, and if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm kind of reading from both. This one goes really fast, and so I have to catch up over here, so I tend to like go back and forth until I find my rhythm. It's going to take me a minute to acclimate to the energy. If you're familiar to my lives, if you're somebody who's been here a lot, I think all of you guys have, it takes me just a kind of a minute to get kind of used to everybody's energy as I start kind of connecting with all of you. All right, so one of the most interesting things happened. So last Saturday when I was doing a live, the topic of the Mariana Trench just kind of popped in my head, and I like spoke about it just totally randomly. I don't even know why. So I went on kind of this, sorry, and I'm doing a lot of throat clearing because I think I was like really kind of, I've been struggling to talk about some of this stuff, so I might be doing this a lot. So it kind of led me down this really intense rabbit hole, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to pull myself back out, like, because I went deep, you guys. Whew. All right, so it was really funny because I hadn't done any research or anything on the Mariana Trench at all. I just heard the name and just was kind of like tuning into stuff that, sorry, I missed, oh yes, we definitely should do a live together one time. There's ways to do that because I see people do it all the time. We just got to figure it out. I'm sure you probably already know. Oh gosh, what was I saying? So I went down this rabbit hole that kind of led me to all these realizations, and it was kind of just like that little final piece in the puzzle to all this information that I kind of already knew. So last week I mentioned, sorry, my face is like starting to vibrate so much. Last week during the live, I had mentioned the Mariana Trench, and it was very strange because at the time I was like tuning into it being connected to the Atlantic Ocean and having something to do with Atlantean timelines, like Lemuria, and essentially it would be, you know, like the mirror of what I was seeing it as. So that was what kind of like drew me to go a little bit deeper. So what I was seeing was essentially, this is so interesting. So I kind of discovered that we have these kind of triangular realities that we play out. Let's see, I have my, so we have these different aspects, and then we have like the integrated aspect. So this would be like a positive polarity and a negative polarity aspect, or what we could view as the masculine and the feminine. And this would be the integration of the two, which would be like the fusion point. So if you want to look at it in like the tri-wave versus the bi-wave system, as far as energy goes. So what that brought me to was, what I was seeing was like something kind of like this. And it was like that. Sorry, I'm drawing it out. And like this. So it was, I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I should use a marker. So it looked kind of like this. So this is what I was picking up, is like the portal is like, this is like the where, and I was seeing it as this is the portal, and then we have like the Bermuda Triangle here and the Mariana Trench here, and this would be like the center point of that. So what I was picking up on is that like the Bermuda Triangle would be essentially like what we view as Atlantis, and also it's in the shape of a triangle. So if you look at the Mariana Trench, it is also in a triangle type thing. And it would be what people would call like the polarity of it. It's mirror, essentially. And this is just my opinion, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, because it's really going to come out a little bit jumbled, and you'll have to do your own, you know, research and use your own discernment with all the information that comes through that I'm going to say today. Hey Gigi, how's it going? Yeah, you jumped in on a very interesting live, so we're gonna get on some very interesting stuff. So one of the other things I really thought was so interesting when I started looking into the trench was its depth is, I don't know if you guys can see these numbers, and I'm not even joking, you can look it up on Wikipedia. It's negative, I don't know, 36,069.6. I don't know if I said that right. It's easier if I just show you the numbers. Hopefully you can see it. So, my notes I know are totally scattered, but it's the triangle between Japan, New Guinea, and the Philippines. So one of the interesting things about the Mariana Trench is it is so deep because it is part of what is called a mega thrust site. So it's under so if you want to view, like, this is like one plate, and then this is another one here, coming down like that, and then right here is like the trench between the two, and so the plates collide here and creates like a mega thrust, essentially, and that would be like where the trench is. And so one of the things about the trench is really interesting is they've discussed it as being a nuclear waste disposal site. And there's even been like talk about dropping nuclear bombs down there just to see what happens. And this is all just like speculation, of course, so take all of that with a grain of salt. And here's the other interesting thing. It was its shape, the crescent shape, was something that I've seen, and I don't know if this is just tarot or there's some kind of a symbolism there that connects with what is the word? I wish I would have looked that one up. But it just makes me think of like almost like femininity. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just an imprinted thing that is like kind of playing out through the collective, and that could be just something I'm picking up on. So the western edge of the Mariana Trench is the oldest oceanic crust on Earth. So it's part of like what you could say the end and not the end, or like the beginning, I guess you could say. Like, so if it's the oldest, it's got to be some of the stuff that was like from the beginning. So I don't know if that's going to make any sense. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So when they determined its age, they were looking at it being 170 million years old. Hopefully that helps. And they did find living life forms down in the trench, but they were mostly like flatfish. I wrote down shrimp and sea cucumbers, and then organisms and crustaceans and snailfish in the muds, and then diatomaceous, which is like like fossilized, like, well, you know, degraded fossils. If anybody's familiar with diatomaceous earth, it's like a product. You can use it on your soil. You can also use it on your pets to like get rid of fleas, and you can consume it to help like with the digestive system, because it's made of fossils, so it's like super sharp, so it cuts up all the stuff in your stomach and gets it out. Yes, the curves, feminine. Yes, see, exactly. That's that. I knew there was something there that was like telling me that I just couldn't figure it out. Thank you, Hannah Mori. Yeah, you're right. It is the curves. Can you? My cat is jumping in front of the camera. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so that led me down a whole nother rabbit hole, because I was seeing this as, because the other thing I noticed was like there was a little bit of a interesting, if you start looking at the numerology that's connected with the Mariana Trench, then you're going to go down a rabbit hole. I'm not even going to go there because it took me deep. So it brought me back to basically the shape of the triangle. And so that's what we're going to go over today, because the shape of the triangle is what really I keep coming back to every single time I like bring the two together. So what I was seeing, and why I kind of used the thumbnail that I did, what I was seeing was two different, essentially like, okay, how do I explain this? Give me a second to like kind of get my thoughts together. I've been playing this over in my head a million different ways, and I don't know how to say this totally. So actually I'm going to just take a minute and look at the chat and make sure I'm not missing anybody. All right. Oh, here with the portals. Yeah, I saw you were talking about portals too. I was like, what a synchronicity. And tons of triangles. Okay, cool. So we're going to definitely get into the triangles. And hi, Conscious Evolution. How's it going? I hope I'm not missing anybody. If I'm missing anybody, I am so sorry. Just trying to catch up real quick. It sounds like everybody's doing all right. Yeah, my cat's very curious. And she's a she. It's not good for the lungs. Definitely don't breathe it. Yeah, because it does like poof out of the thing when you're doing it. But it is really good for like clearing out the stomach. Okay, so the triangles, what I was looking, I was brought back to essentially the founder races, the Lyran founder races, and now they had the 3 different planets that were what was the formula blueprint that eventually became who we are as humanity. So this would be, if you want to look at it in linear perspective. Actually, no, I'm not even going to do it. I want us to all, okay, everybody just take time and linear perspective, throw it out the window. Just say bye, okay? I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible. All right, so we're going to look at the 3 Lyran founder races. So we're going to look at the D10, D11, and D12, and this is Lyra, Vega, Avion, and Armatania. And these are the Gold Order Seraphim, the Emerald and Violet Order Elohim, or yeah, something like that. The Feline Aquatic Ape Anu race. And I'll get farther into that. Sorry, that was my piece of moldavite. That's part of the reason why my energy is so intense. I got 2 chunks of moldavite. I got a moldavite there, and a moldavite there, and then a moldavite here. So I wanted to do the triangle too. I was like, we're doing triangles. I want to do a moldavite triangle. I'm so weird. And then you have the Lyra Armatania, which is the Elohim, Christos founder race. And these are all just like information that I've kind of gathered through my research, so take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm mostly using these as an example of 3 different types of like aspects of humanity that you can look at. So you have the Seraphim, which would be an aspect of humanity in one form, and then you have the Elohim, which would be an aspect of humanity in one form, and then you have the Christos founder race, which would be the aspect of humanity in one form. So that would be your 3. So you have your service to self, your service to others, and your the apex, what they call the apex planet. So it was like trying to take the 2 and bring them together. So these 3 planets held, your service to self group, and then you had a planet that held the service to other group, and then you had the apex planet, which is both, that were supposed to, bring them together. So each planet is supposed to play out, essentially their circle of ascension, where they positive polarize from a negative polarity to create their cycle, their circle. And then same with the other planets. So what happened was these races kept fractalizing down, fragmenting down into other races that would fragment down into other races. And so if you want to look at it from a digressive form. You could look at like the Lyra Vega Seraphim race as digressing down into what we see as like an Orion Draconian type of race. And this is just, you know, using these as an example. And then what we would see as maybe the feline Elohim. Did I say that right? No. Yeah. No, I wrote that wrong. Sorry, I wrote the wrong thing down. So, back up a little bit. So, when I was thinking the seraphim, so is what I was kind of doing is I was like taking what I would see as a potential de-evolution and evolution of each race as it interacted with humanity being like essentially the nexus point. So, looking at what we would view as the past in linear timelines is what I'm calling like the founder races, where I'm going from, and then their form of digression as they kind of created humanity through that, if you want to look at it from a linear perspective. And then what I'm going to talk about is like the future potentialities of humanity. If you look at like the Pleiadians, the Greys, and the Andromedans, so that would be the trinity of the future selves, and then these would be the trinity of like the past selves. And we're kind of like looking at an apex of humanity, looking at Atlantis and Lemuria, and then where we are now as that other kind of apex point, I guess you could say. So that's what we're existing in now. Right now we're like that apex planet. So what happened is basically the two races digressed into what we would see as the Draconians and the Anunnakis. And these were through periods of evolutions over billions of years. Okay, so this is like through digression and fragmentation and whatever, the infinite process of creation. There's other galactic constructs that were made through these digressions. But it's all connected. If you really want to go down, get right back down to it, it's all going to go back to one source, and then it's all going to go up to one source. And that's why I was like looking at kind of, it's all gonna go, you know, it's just this up or down. Oh gosh, I really hope that I'm not like confusing the heck out of you guys. My brain doesn't work so well with taking things and putting them into words. It all makes sense up here. Speaking it out here is really difficult for me. Which is why I wrote things down and I still can't keep my stuff, you know. Okay, so one of the things I realized is that if you look at things in terms of cycles, you're going to look at different polarity paths playing out their ascension roles. So if you want to look at a circle, you have, this is Atlantis, completing its circle of positive and negative polarities on both sides, creating its circle. And then you can look at Atlantis, creating its positive, you know, negative polarities, its cycle here. And then we have humanity, which is the apex of Atlantis and Lemuria in this now, where we are now, and this is our chance to take everything that happened here and learn from it, so that we don't, you know, so that we can go here and then, you know, expand back out to more creations, a whole new level of integration beyond the third dimension, like first, second, third, and then you go, I guess that would be interesting. Okay, I'm not going to go there. That is my brain's wanting to say something, but I don't know how to bring it through, so we're going to stop. Alright, so one of the things that happened after the Lyran Wars was there was a council. It was the Intergalactic Association of Free Worlds, and I hope I'm saying that right because I only wrote the initials. I didn't actually write what it was called. And this is essentially what you could say would be like the evolved versions that went through these wars and evolved out of them, completed the cycles, and were able to create new constructs. So they were able to create the new constructs, the new race, that would essentially be like the crisis control, or to fix like the overfractalization of the original template. I don't think they really knew how much it was going to you know, oh, I don't have words for it right now. I know I make hand movements when I don't have the words to say. So this is when a new line of creation was made, and so this is when you have new galactic constructs that are made throughout these different integrations. So what we perceive as bad in the past is just those races having their integration cycles so that these new races could be created in order to experience a new level of integration, the new level of integration of polarity from another, you know, from another standpoint. So what we would view as crisis control or whatever. So anything that was still stuck in lower, you know, lower dimensions or lower aspects of self, because we're all connected, we're all one, we can essentially, like, through, how do I say this? Through our ascension, because we all ascend together, they will eventually, you know, those aspects of you will complete their cycle. We all complete our cycles. Okay, let's see if I can, I feel like that was a bunch of, that didn't make a whole lot of sense. So, the way I was seeing this, because of the information that I had written, was it was like these different aspects of evolved versions of the founder races that came in to create a race lineage to course correct the devolved aspects of self. Hopefully that makes better sense. And through that, created a new race line. So these new race lineages are what a lot of people connect to, known as, and this is one of the words I've heard, is the Ionis. And then there's also the Sirius B, which is really interesting because that came through in a channeling very randomly. If you watch, I think it was not my live last week, but the live before. It could have been my live last week, actually. No, now that I think about it, I think it was my live last week. So that was, yeah, just another synchronicity that kind of brought me into the rabbit hole. So this is connected to Sirius B lineage incarnates, which these would be the primal light field overseers. And what people can sometimes see these as is blue-skinned, winged, feathered, feline, aquatic. So the way I see that is basically the culmination of multiple races as they evolved, devolved, and created their new constructs. Because if you look at that combination, that's the only way that makes sense. And so because if you want to look at things outside of time, you're going to look at things existing somewhat simultaneously. So you have each race, as it creates a construct, is going to create an equal and opposite polarity of that construct. Therefore, having those experiences and then more experiences, it's an infinite thing. And the more I try to wrap my head around it, the more I start to spin. So we're going to stop there. And hopefully that didn't sound like too much gibberish to you guys, because I just really wanted to set down a little bit of a foreset. Oh, I'm glad it made sense to you, Aisha, because sometimes I feel like I'm just trying so hard to say what's in my mind and it's not coming out. And I was struggling. So, let's see, like a virtual third state that exists within the duality. Yeah, exactly. So if you think about the tri-wave frequency, the Vesica Pisces, and then you think about the third aspect, the apex, would be like the completed cycles of both sides existing in another, you know, togetherness, learning how to exist together, and then eventually expand out into a new, you know, because fusion is creation. So if you think about it like an X or even an hourglass, you have the nexus point here, that would be the circle, and then you have the circles down here, and then you have a whole new setup here. I'm sure you can find some sacred geometry out there. To me, I'm like thinking it's probably in alignment with the flower of life. Don't quote me on that because I don't know if that's for sure. What I really want, because I talked for a lot longer than I had planned on. Yes, fractals infinity are so intense that it's hard to start wrapping your head around it, and my brain wants to just go before it even fully makes sense of what it's saying. Yes, totally. Oh, well, I'm glad you guys are digging the fractals because I'm kind of mildly obsessed. Alright, so I'm gonna actually check this chat real quick and see if I missed anything. Yes, the Intergalactic Council. Oh, you speak in my language. Yes. Good, I'm glad your brain is soaking this all up. That's my, yep, you got me, girl, Michelle. You know how this, like, I try so hard. Oh, I'm so glad some of you guys were able to follow that because I was trying so hard. You just getting over a bad infection, conscious evolution. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sending you healing, and I really hope you feel better. Let's see. Yeah, you having trouble talking lately? Oh my gosh, I can't seem to spit it out. It's just that my words won't work. Alright, so I think that was it. Hey Light Resonance, thank you for tapping in with us. I just checked out your video the other day and I loved it. I love Archangel Michael, by the way. And that was some serious power you had coming through there. Felt good. I needed it. Alright, so there isn't always human words. That's why I started speaking light language. Gosh darn it. I have so much information that I don't know how to bring through. So I bring it through essentially like telepathically to you guys through the like light language. It's like it goes into your, I don't know, your database. And then when you need it, it activates. Your throat chakra, oh man, my throat chakra, it's like, it's trying, it's like making me speak. Alright, so we have quite a few people in the chat. Does everybody want to start the meditation? Oh, thank you, Light Resonance, you're the best. Mwah. Alright, so oof, I have so much energy coming through. Is anybody else's hands vibrating right now? Because mine are vibrating. I'm just kind of, actually I'm going to grab my tourmaline. Just, everybody just take a deep breath. I'm just kind of grounding. I was getting very ungrounded there. I was kind of like late getting started, so I didn't really get to sit and meditate and ground before I started the live today like I usually do. Yes, you're exactly right, Nova Nova, and that's why I've been like struggling with saying certain things because I'll like say it and then I'll hear it, I'll like almost hear how it's like putting out the wrong kind of energy, and I'm like, how do I reprogram that? How do I say something different? Something that changes the energy. I need to change that frequency because I don't like it. Oh, I'm glad you're dancing in the energy. That's amazing. Oh. Yes. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Yes, because it all makes sense as you're like seeing it and you're like, yes, yes, yes. And then you come down and you're like, okay, I gotta write this down. Oh, okay. How do I write this down? Oh yeah, so you know what? Speaking of vibrations and dizziness, how about that freaking energy? Oh my gosh, sorry about the overexcitement there. Oh my goodness gracious, like we had that solar storm and then we like dropped down and then it like dropped back up, like roller coastered us, like whoo. I had the worst migraine. I haven't had a migraine that bad in a while. And then we had like right after my migraine finally started going away, we had a complete like blackout on the Schumann resonance. I was just like, what is that? And it was funny because I remember checking the Schumann, but it was still like in its spike. It hadn't even hit the blackout yet, and I was like feeling dizzy. I was like, what is going on? So we hit this big spike, and then it just like it like calmed down a little bit, and then we had a couple little and then it was like black. But yeah, it was such a roller coaster. Oh my gosh. And I know that the storm was only a G1 minor, but G1 minor is a lot, especially in solar minimum, man, because like there is just like nothing. It's just like hitting your body so hard. And for me, like if I've been eating bad, like for me, I had 3 cookies the night before, and it's always the cookies every time. Every time. I had 3 cookies, and I was like, I hope I don't regret this tomorrow. Of course, I picked like right before we get a solar storm to have cookies. Yes, the energy has been so intense. Oh, the solar storm was like the day before yesterday, and the blackout was last night. Like, it was at 13 o'clock Universal time. It was just after, so it was like 15 minutes after. And then I want to say it was like 5.5 hours long, something like that. 5.5 hours. What kind of cookies? Chocolate chip. They were my husband's cookies. He was sitting on the couch eating them next to me, and I was just like, I want a cookie. Oh, what's up, Glitch? You had Taco Bell? I know, it's like those guilty pleasures. Ugh, I pay for it every time, though. I haven't been able to eat for 2 days now because of that, though. I'm just like, I did get one of those blueberry, like, Odwalla sea monster things because I didn't eat anything yesterday. And so I was like, if I'm going to do a live, I need to get, like, something in me so I can function. Oh, okay. I love you, too, and I will see you soon. Love you. That explains a lot. Yeah, were you going through it too? Oh my gosh, it was so intense. Yeah, I'm like shaking so bad right now still, and it's like, I know that's because I have this moldavite in my head. I can feel it. Yeah, did the ear sound get really high? Interesting. Yeah, I was like, I can feel something coming in. Maybe we have another pulse coming in, because I was definitely like, and I know because the moldavite really amplifies the energy in my head. And I just, like, I felt something coming in. I don't know what it is. It could just be, oh yeah, all of the energy that I'm just picking up on too. Okay, so, if you want anything for me to go over specifically in the meditation, go ahead and throw that in the comments now. And I'm going to go ahead and have everybody just start breathing. And I just got 3313 on the clock. That is asynchronicity. Sorry. Is it the bells? Do I need to turn them down? Are they too loud? So I'm just going to tune in and connect with my higher self. And I'm seeing a lot of really light, a lot of bright lights. I have my eyes closed right now, and everything's just like, there's a lot of really intense, like, flashing energy going on right now. I'm seeing a lot of yellow. So if you're feeling a lot coming from the solar plexus, I feel like I'm almost like tuning into Atlantis. Some of the reason of the fall of Atlantis was connected to power. And a lot of that's being held in the solar plexus. Kur skar sikir, kur anakatashar. In the kur sikir nakatushkar. I need to take a drink. My throat's getting very thick. And yes, this is a pickle jar. No, it does not taste like pickles. Scratch that, it kind of tastes like pickles. And now I'm seeing green. So that kind of brings me back to one of the things I was looking at. Also, with the 4. So the 3, we have the 3s and then we have 4. So I was thinking 4 is the heart chakra. So I feel like part of that nexus point is expanding here, fixing that power, the solar plexus. I think that's why it was being brought to the solar plexus. And this is like that expansion point is at the heart. Expanding out. And I'm feeling almost like it evolves to the higher heart through that expansion. I don't know. I'm seeing it, and it's very interesting. I'm seeing it like this, 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 and this, and then just like, I don't know. So this is working a lot in the heart and the solar plexus right now. Alright. I got 2 different languages trying to come through at once. Sikir takahasnata shikaar. Sikira nakata shikaar. Kira shikaar. Shikira nakata shikaar. No shikaar. Kira shikaar. Sikir nako shikaar. Pinch of salt in the water. Yeah, that'll make it taste better. Yeah, it's bigger than my hand. I drink a lot of water. It's in jars because I structure it. So I boil the water first, then I put it in the jar, and then I put it up on my bookshelf, and I have my little stereo, my little silver stereo that I use here, and I play, you know, like different frequencies for it, and then also like the healing energies that I play through the night also kind of encode into the water. So everything I drink from that is like encoded with like good frequencies. So I really like it. It actually like really helps when I channel too, to be very hydrated. I found that if I try to channel and I haven't been drinking enough water, I have a really hard time doing it. I can't get grounded properly. I can't like feel the flow properly. It's just, water is such an important part of my ability to channel. Like if I'm just dehydrated, I just can't do it. So I don't know if anybody else who channel has that problem, but I have to drink a lot of water. Kira shakaar sikir kaar. Kira shakaar sikir. Kura nakatashkaar. Kiar nakotoshkaar. Kiir nakotoshkaar. Kira shakaar kiir nakatoshkaar. Kiir nako akiir nukoraskaar. I'm getting like an intense, I don't know if you guys are feeling this, like so much pressure coming in. Ooh. Just take a breath. Ooh, a body armor. Is that like electrolytes? That sounds like something that would be like Gatorade. Yes, it is like a conductor. Every time I take a shower, even doing the dishes, I started doing the dishes, and that was when I started like connecting and channeling like really hard, and all this information started like pouring in, and I was like, ah, I'm just trying to do the dishes here and my brain won't shut up. It keeps wanting to talk to me. Oh. Oh, hey Rita. Hey, I saw your dragon. You had a beautiful red dragon. I don't know if John Benny's in the chat. I did not see him, but John Benny put out a video, everybody. And the artwork is Rita Woodward's beautiful red dragon. Yes, pickles are very good for you. I love pickles. I like pickle juice too. My daughter drinks pickle juice. She loves it. Water magic, yes. See if I missed anybody. I'm gonna like peek up at the top for a second, see if I missed anybody. Oh, you do the Moldavite headband too? Oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Although, man, it is bringing in so much energy into my crown chakra. My crown feels like it's like bursting open right now. I'm getting so much energy up there. And I think, oh, you made cookies, Aisha? What? I love cookies. I'm such a weakness for cookies and cake. And my husband too, because he loves his cookies and he loves his cake. And so he likes to have his treats, and I've had to give up a lot of my treats. Oh, hey Katie. Love you. You're not too late. You're always right on time. Yeah, I've had to give up a lot of my treats because they really are a huge trigger for my migraine. And so I have these things called comorbid symptom experiences, whatever. So if I do like sugar or a lot of salt and then we have like a big energy wave, that's pretty much a guaranteed migraine. If I'm pretty good about my eating and drinking water and we have an energy wave, I'm usually somewhat okay. I might be kind of tired, maybe a little cranky, but I don't get these bad migraines. They don't hit my body as hard. So this is actually feeling kind of tight too, I think because of the Moldavite. And that's why I've actually, like, if I know there's going to be a portal coming up, or like if we have those like 10-day conversion portals, I'll usually fast as much as I can during them, or do like juice fast during them, because I'll put myself in kind of that comorbid state. If I'm like not eating good and then we have a lot of energy coming in, I'm pretty much guaranteed to be completely useless. So if I want to be able to function and be a human being and be able to like help people when they want me to help them, instead of just to completely ignore my inbox and be like, I can't talk to anybody right now, please don't message me. Like, it gets exhausting because it's like some of the messages are from people that I actually, you know, want to connect with, but it's like such a large percentage of the messages that I get are just people like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing today? And I don't have time for that. And it's frustrating because then I feel like I'm picking people over others, and then it's like I feel like I'm being unfair, and so I just avoid it altogether. I'll just stay away from my inbox for like 2-3 days at a time sometimes, because I'm just like, I can't do it, it's too overwhelming, there's too many messages, I don't want to look at them. So if anybody's ever sent me messages in the past and it took me like a week to get back to you, that's why. You were feeling it in your crown too? Oh my god, I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's going away now that I'm not channeling anymore, but oh, it was getting so intense. I thought my head was gonna explode. Whew. How's everybody feeling? The energy definitely stepped back for a minute. I think you could feel that I was getting a little bit overwhelmed. That was some of the more powerful codes I've brought through. I know was just a very short segment, but the way it was coming through my head was intense. The way I was feeling it. How's everybody feeling in the chat? You made 11 dozen. You don't eat them yourself. Do you share? Of course you share. You're working on a yellow dragon. See, synchronicity, as we were talking about the solar plexus. Yep. And it's funny because you did the red dragon, and I have root chakra music playing. You feeling awesome? Good. I'm so glad you're feeling good, because honestly, with what I went through and like thinking that, oh, this is probably what he was going through, I was like, I did not put enough healing your way. I was like, man, I should have done a little bit more work on you. So I'm glad that you're doing well. And for anybody out there, you know, I do do energy healing, and I haven't really opened it up as a service yet, but you can email me if it's something that you're interested in. If you are struggling and you do want a personal energy healing, I do work by donation, so I am throwing that out there because I was talking about it. But it's not something that I super advertise just yet, just because I was going through like that kind of, and it really started in November, this like really intense, oh nice, 11:44 sync. It really started in November, like after the 11/11 portal, and I did like a 5 or 6 day fast that really triggered this really intense like physical particle conversion, because I was doing it through that conversion portal. And because of that, I had to change everything that I was basically existing in order to align with the new conversion, my new template that I was trying to get to. So it's been a process of me basically breaking down, and now I'm kind of building back up, and I'm getting to that point where I'm built up enough that I'm almost ready to start like putting it back out there again for y'all. And so, I mean, if obviously I always take people in emergencies, just email me, but I really haven't been like advertising things, and that's why. New York represent. Yeah, Cambodia. What is it like in Cambodia? Whenever I think of Cambodia, I think holiday in Cambodia. I don't know. Dead Kennedys. Sorry, I'm so weird. Probably nobody knows. Glitch might know that one, but probably nobody else knows this. Or maybe Pixie. Pixie might know that one too. It's actually kind of a morbid song if you really listen to the words. Okay, so, whew. Oh, even the dogs get the cookies as long as they don't have chocolate though, right? Because chocolate's bad for dogs. Don't forget to bring your wife. Oh, are you talking to somebody else? You must be talking about somebody else. Oh, are you talking about the song? I'm not sure. I don't know all the words to the song. I've just heard it, you know, in my experience, I guess is the only word I can come up with. I've heard it a few times in my experience, in this human experience that we're kind of playing out. Things that we learn, things that we pick up. My husband's really into that kind of music, so that's where I picked it up from. Oh, it's a band called Dead Kennedys. It's a punk band. Sorry. Okay, so you were talking about the song. Yeah. Alright. Oh, yeah, I'm always giggles, man. Just wait till I start doing the goblin giggles. I was, like, famous for those at the bar. Everybody's like, Nadine and the goblin giggles, because, like, when I really get going, man. Have you heard the witch laugh? You've heard the witch laugh, but have you heard a goblin giggle? I can't even say it. Oh, you listen to them along with the Misfits. Yeah, no, I love the Misfits. Yeah. You were a punk in the city? Yeah, my husband grew up in San Jose, so he was a city punk, and then he moved to Tahoe, and that's actually where we met, was in South Lake Tahoe. So that's where I went to high school, was South Lake Tahoe in California. So if you all wonder why I like say dude all the time and use a lot of slang and weird words, it's probably my California side. You try behind the scenes? Oh, you had a mohawk and a leather jacket. So did my husband when I first met him. That was actually. Oh, you gotta go. I'll talk to you later, Glitch. Yeah, you know, it was funny because I was in high school when I met my husband, and he was out of high school. So when I first met him, I think I was even in my cheerleading uniform, because we were hanging out at my buddy Theron's house, and he was hanging out there too, because we were all like friends with the same people. And I remember seeing him like across the room, and he had his leather jacket and his mohawk, and I'm like, that guy is so cool. And he will never talk to me because he's way too cool. And we actually never actually spoke to each other. I think we'd seen each other kind of just offhand because we hung out with the same people several times before we actually finally spoke to each other. But also, you know, I was 18, but he probably thought I was only 17 because I was still in high school. So I was probably like off limits until he found out I was 18. I know, it sounds terrible, but I married him, so can't be that bad. They get peanut butter or plain cookies. Oh, that's good. Your dogs are so lucky. Yeah, it's definitely a Cali thing. I mean, and I do a little bit of the Oregon slang too, because I like kind of, I spent like my childhood growing up kind of in Oregon, and partially in Oregon, but then also my grandparents had a house in Shasta, Mount Shasta in California, but people there aren't really like the Cali people like that I kind of introduced myself to in high school when I moved to South Lake Tahoe. So I moved to South Lake Tahoe, and that's kind of how I got into the more Cali slang and saying things like hella and days and for show and dude all the time. Those are some of the weird things that you'll hear me say all kinds of weird things all the time, and that's just, you know, that's just part of me. Oh, you look like a hippie now? Oh, I'm like kind of a little bit of everything. I'm like a little bit hippie. I'm a little bit like rebel. I'm a little bit girly girl. I'm a little bit tomboy. I like to be like kind of everything all at once. I reflect my multi-dimensionality outwards in my appearance, which can be kind of interesting because I feel like I dress pretty plain, but there is a lot going on if you really try to break it down. Oh, I'm just like talking about the weirdest stuff right now. How is everybody doing? You guys got any questions in the chat? Anything you want to ask about what I was talking about earlier? As far as like Atlantis and Lemuria and those crazy random downloads that I've been getting and trying to understand and wanting to share, and hopefully it made sense to everybody. I'll have to rewatch the video and see how it came out, because I'm just like, it felt like it was coming out really jumbled. Yes, fluid in your taste and appearances. I really don't like to stick to one thing, and it was funny because I used to have this roommate. This was kind of before I started dating my husband, although I was living with this roommate when I did start dating my husband. I moved out of my parents' house when I was still going to high school. So I had roommates and stuff, and I was working and going to high school. So I had this roommate that would always like make jokes about how I was like 5 people in one. He's like, one day you'll dress up like some totally preppy chick on your way to school, and then another day you'll be in all black with a beanie and, you know, a thermal under a t-shirt, and you look like a total punker. And it's like, you change your look every day. You don't stick to one niche. And I was like, well, why should I? Is there a reason why I should like label myself and put myself into a box and say this is how I'm supposed to dress and this is what I'm supposed to be? I'd rather not. I'd rather be this, and then I'd also like to be that. And then I also want to experience what that's like, and so I want to be kind of all of those, and whichever day I kind of like decide to be this, that, or the other is what I'll be. What if we know we are from before Lemuria? Yes, so that's kind of one of those things that I really want to get into really hard, but I haven't gotten there yet because there is aspects of us, of our souls that are existing and incarnating right now, that are incarnated right now, that existed before Lemuria, before Atlantis. And times on... It wasn't Earth, it wasn't Tara, I believe it was what you would perceive as Gaia, in a different dimension, a different density, everything. This is like pre-human templates is what you're looking at. This is when the human template was essentially being designed and kind of worked into the matrix. So if you have memories from before Atlantis and before Lemuria, that is okay. That is totally normal. That just means that your soul was created prior to the fractalization, fragmentation of the human angelic templates. Does that make sense? So, is that universal? Let's see. Oh, thank you, JB. Rita, I love that. I'm so glad you were practicing your light language while you were driving, because honestly, sometimes when we're just kind of alone in the car, and especially when you're in the car driving, and especially if you're on a familiar route, you naturally go into a hypnagogic state. So that will allow you to tap into those aspects of yourself, like light language, that may be harder to bring through when you're in more of a conscious state. Yeah, see where I'm at? Yeah. Astral planing. Let me see. And so universal would be within the universe. Galactic would be within this galaxy. So I'm not exactly sure what you're saying there. Oh yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I never even got to the other half of the thing that I wanted to talk about. So we're going to talk about the future. So we talked about the past, the Lyran, the founders, and all that. So now let's get into the future potentialities. We have the Greys, we have the Pleiadians, and then we have the Andromedans. So if you want to think about them in terms of path, potentiality, polarities, whatever playing out there, cycles, you could look at the Greys as a form of humanity playing out inorganic evolution, which would be I guess you could call like a negative path polarity. I hate using negative and positive because it makes you think of bad and good. So just playing out that inorganic form of evolution. And then you have Arcturus. Okay, so yeah, Arcturus would be like, you're right, the nexus point, and Andromeda would be like where you evolved. That would be like, okay, we'll get there. I know that there's a connection there to Andromeda because Arcturus, if you think about it, Arcturus is like the soul memory. Antares is like the bridge to Andromeda. You have to go through the Antares Council to ascend out into a higher self, so an Andromedan self, which is a human, evolved, ascended human self. So, and then you have the Greys, which would be an evolved, inorganic human timeline potentiality. And then you have the Pleiadians, which would be an organic timeline potentiality of humanity. And that would be, I guess you'd say, the positive polarity, and then the negative polarity, Pleiadians and the Greys. So each of those plays out a full cycle that has to eventually become an apex, a third, in order to continue expanding, otherwise it digresses. So the Pleiadians, the Greys, are us in the future on different timeline potentialities. How do I say this? And we would be like that nexus point. So think the hourglass, the bottom triangle we were talking about, the Lyrans, and then we're here, and now we're talking about Pleiadians and the Greys up here. Okay? So you have these two, and then once these guys are able to integrate, you have the new race of people, and that would be Arcturian, and then the Arcturians would have their integrations into their higher races of those galactic constructs of higher races. So I guess that's why they use Arcturus and I don't know why I keep saying Arcturus and Andromeda, so I don't know which one it is exactly, but it's one of those two, as essentially like a blueprint for what humanity could be at an evolved apex of positive and negative timeline potentiality, instead of going this way or that way, which will eventually digress itself out or have to change into a new I don't know. We'll stop that because I don't think that what I last. So okay. So you have, yeah, that would be like the apex would be like the Arcturus, the culmination of both aspects of humanity evolved into a higher self. Or a higher dimension. And here's the funny thing that I was trying to understand, and I'm starting to sweat. I was trying to understand how we like have the different levels of they have never incarnated. Okay, so that would be like if they've never incarnated, so they would be like the higher we'll just hold a finger on that. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to collect my thoughts here because they're getting jumbled again. So I was just saying that basically because if we try to look at things outside of time, we can look at all these other races as different potentialities of our own evolution, is I guess the point I was trying to get to. You can look at them as this is an evolved aspect of humanity after they were able to overcome this side and this side and be able to eventually evolve into this species. And that's why we have all these different races, these different frequencies of races, because as we evolve, we also devolve. And through those evolution and devolution, creation and destruction is where all of these constructs are created. And because we as humanity are conscious and aware right now of what's going on right now, we have the ability to go in a different timeline than the Pleiadians or the Greys. We have the ability to take their future potentiality, learn from everything that they did right, and then also what eventually would cause them to digress. Look at what everything that they did wrong, and then eventually brought them back into the light, and use both sides of information to create the apex, the new consciousness, the new race, the new construct, the new human, I guess you could say, the new race, the new root race. And I guess that's how root races are probably created. Yeah, separation into integration. You have to separate to have the experience, and then you come back together. It's like you break down, you and then you build back up. It's like the infinite web of infinite potentiality. It just never stops. It's so hard to wrap your head around it. It's insane. I really hope that didn't like come out too jumbled again. I'm so bad at this. This is why I don't make videos about this stuff. And I really have been having a hard time wanting to talk about this stuff, but it's like I've been feeling like I need to kind of see not only how you guys are feeling about what I'm saying, but also just because every perspective has its importance, because there is no right and there is no wrong. Everything has something significant within it that we can learn from, whether we view it as right or wrong. So even if everything that I'm saying is complete bullshit and completely wrong, there's something there that can be learned from it. So hopefully anybody who's like laughing at me right now, like this lady has completely lost her mind, is maybe getting that. Okay? So, if there's any more questions or anything you guys want to throw in the chat, I really didn't want to go too much longer than an hour on this live stream. So go ahead and start throwing them in if you guys got anything, and I'm going to go ahead and look through here. Okay. So, yes. Yes. Oh, you weren't here when we started talking about that, Katie. Yes, there are seeds from other universes and dimensions. Like, I don't really want to go into that right now, though. Right now. Just gonna make it too complicated, and I already made it super complicated. Yeah. Exactly. Well, they're trying to keep themselves from digressing out to completely non-existence, the Greys. But, and they're trying to essentially not digress out. They tried to essentially time travel, go back in time. Or dimension. Because there is no time. Really, just traveling dimensions is what we view as time travel. But yeah. Oh, nice. Ooh, Galactic Heritage Oracle cards. I'll have to look into those. Ninth. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, Energy and Light. How's it going? Alright, I'm just catching up on the chat, everybody, if you're wondering why I'm just like kind of like making weird faces and giggling over here. Okay. Exactly, there is no wrong, only experiences of all there is, because if you think about how it fractalizes, it has to fractalize in a positive polarity and a negative polarity, and each polarity has to play out its cycle and, you know, essentially expand into the third nexus point. And that's why you can look at the trinity over the duality. That's like learning to expand beyond polarity. Yes. And I heard about that. They're called like the Essassani or something like that. And so that's just, you know, a galactic a human evolution potentiality saw everything going wrong, trying to essentially course correct itself through those hybrid people who they're trying to evolve back into source consciousness. So that's why even those things, there's galactic constructs that are negative. They're essentially aspects of those constructs that got out of the negative polarity into positive polarity and are trying to create that third nexus point, that course correction, the unified of the polarities. Yes, polarity's gone terribly wrong. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. And I almost think that it was like not intended originally when the founders created, you know, the mirrors. They didn't expect it to explode as much as it did. Because the mirrors became mirrors, became mirrors, became mirrors, became mirrors. And now we've got all this out of control mirroring going on. So we're trying to work on things on a more mass scale, and that's how we're learning how to tap into our multidimensionality and work with not just our human aspect, but multiple aspects of self, including aspects of us in evolved and devolved states. And through our healing of knowing those potentialities in this now nexus point moment, change the past, change the future. There are 5 races so far from the Greys that they've been contracted with. Interesting. That is so cool. Yes, the Orion Wars are just like another fractal experience of the Trinity experience this pattern that we replay over and over until we finally figure out how to integrate that third nexus point beyond the positive and the negative polarity. It's when we integrate that third point, that's when you have that source, that's when you're back at source, and then you have the potentiality to create your new world, your new earth, your new universe, your new whatever. You know, if you think about it, a universe inside you, when you bring your two polarities together, you open up a whole new universe inside you. You become your own source. That's why you are God, you are source for God. You know, it's like, it shows you in so many different ways it's just, it's so, it's hard to put into words. It says it's been scientifically verified, changing the present does change the past in a rippling effect. Exactly. The present, the now moment vibration, this is you, and then this is your past and your future here in a circle, circling around you. You're here in the middle. So any past or future potentiality that is existing within this circle is being affected by whatever you're going through right now. So say your past or your future potentiality is showing you something, you can change that something that you're seeing by changing this vibration, this knowing, this consciousness right here, and creating a whole new something. Okay, what does that say? Balance is where we are going, exactly. I'm making you dance. Yes, exactly. And if you think about it, that incarnation in Orion is just a parallel aspect of you playing out the exact same thing we're going through now, that they were going through then, that they're also going through in the future, all the same thing. We're just here experiencing it as the past and the future because we have this linear perspective programmed into our mind that we have to have this past and future in order to make sense of it all, because we don't want to just see it as it is. Oh, thank you, Joan. Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that was getting these downloads yesterday. Man, my brain, I couldn't focus. I was like, man, I'm supposed to be doing this girl's natal chart right now, and I can't even think about, like, putting things together. My brain won't shut up. So I'm just, like, sitting there. Like, I literally was either writing things down or meditating. Like, anytime I tried to actually get any work done, just, it wasn't happening. um, yes. Yes, and Orion is one of the things that has been coming into my awareness a lot lately, connected with the divine feminine, the wounded divine feminine, really connected to Orion. And in a lot of the places that are essentially like being controlled by negative aspects, so negative aspects playing out their polarity to be brought back into the light during this now moment experience and knowing and understanding of our multidimensionality and our ability. And I got 11, 9, 11, synchronicity, sorry. Our ability to change timelines through our conscious evolution and knowing, and essentially create a new race through bringing together those potentialities and bringing them into an evolved point of both full circle evolved potentialities. All right. We went deep on that one, guys. All right, does anybody else have any more questions before we close out? Any more comments you guys want to throw in? Because I don't want to make it too long. Nobody will watch this. Let's see. Yes, exactly. That's balancing the polarities. Yeah. And it's also you know, it's kind of funny as I was thinking about, like, if you think in terms of like scratch it. If I start trying to explain that one, I'm just gonna start going again. That is gonna be for another video, another live stream. Okay. All right. So can I give my view on the virus? I think the virus is very much connected to, like, think about it because we can manifest and create our reality, and because fear is such a powerful creator, because it comes from our root chakra. If there's enough fear within the collective consciousness, the community, especially the one that you're existing in, then it will magnetically draw in that particular experience. So if there is enough people in your collective area that is drawing in an energy of fear connected to a specific virus or a specific experience, then that is something that is a potential in your reality, because of the collective draw of the collective magnetically. And yes, it's really unfortunate. And I feel like a lot of the reason it's spreading is because there's still a lot of people stuck in a state of fear. And I see that there's a lot of people trying to get out of that, but really it starts in the mind. And I can use an example of myself is whenever I find myself in a state of fear, I start worrying about what people think of me. I start worrying about if people think I'm losing my mind, all this stuff. And I start finding myself in a state of fear and anxiety. I start losing subscribers. I start getting trolls on my comments. I start getting like people picking on me, sending me mean emails. That is all stuff that I start manifesting through my own vibration, through my own personal fear of those things happening. So they happen because I fear them. So what I've been doing lately is when I start noticing things like that happening, I see it as a pattern. I'm like, I'm manifesting that with my fear. I need to realize it whenever it comes into play so that I can change my reality, because I don't want to experience that. So I need to stop being afraid of it. What is that saying? What city are you in, Leanne? So here's the other thing about the virus that I have a really hard time with. And this is just something that I've kind of picked up from seeing different types of viruses that have come through in the past, like the H1N1 and some of the other really deadly viruses that came through. I feel like a lot of that is perpetuated by our fear. So when you get the virus, you're afraid you're going to die. You're afraid you're going to die, so you accelerate your symptoms through your fear. And so there's people who are getting like a flu or a cold, and they're accelerating this virus through their fear, and it's creating templates that are appearing to look like this mutated virus that they're calling, you know, the coronavirus. But I'm still like super skeptical about that. I know that there was a man-made coronavirus, but I think the actual thing that's going around that people are actually experiencing is just the flu. And because there's so much fear connected to the coronavirus, and because it's been put out into the media, they take these symptoms that they get and they accelerate them and they expand them and they distort the virus through their fear, because the virus can distort itself. It can grow and it can expand and it can expire. I mean, you know, I don't know what that last word was, but basically the flu virus is known for distorting. So through your fear, you're accelerating its potential. And through that acceleration, the symptoms accelerate. Your ability to fight it decelerates. And that creates what would be considered a deadly combination. All right. Yes. So my heart goes out to those people too, because a lot of people who are going through that, they believe that they're dying, and so that's what starts happening to them. It's their belief system that feeds the virus. And I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, but I feel that it's the fear and the stuff that gets fed into the virus that creates the mutation, that creates essentially the super aspect of it that makes it deadly. All right. It's not. Oh, let's see. I think I missed something. Buffalo. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I don't like to say that that is actually what happened unless I've actually like seen it happen, but I definitely see that as a possibility. Yeah, exactly. Brown bottle flu. I mean, it's when you drink alcohol, especially if you're sick or if you're in a place where there's a virus, like a flu virus going around, you're lowering your ability to fight that virus. So it creates a comorbid experience, which is what makes it deadly. Yeah, exactly. And have you seen how well programmed that they have done with the consciousness? You know, it's just like it's really how bad was H1N1 there too? I mean, it's like it's always going to be worse in places that there's a lot of programming, because they can really push that fear and it can really destroy the person. This is why you can have somebody get sicker than they are by destroying their own immunity through their own fear, which creates that comorbid experience, which is why it's deadly. And obviously I'm not a health professional, everybody. This is my own personal opinion. Anybody who's watching. Let's see. I think. What's making you feel ridiculous, Joan? Something about Harry Potter? I don't think I understand that. Oh, is that just what you say to make you feel better? Okay, I think I got that. Sorry, I misread that. The Shrimp Zoo channel, I will check it out. I don't like to look too much into like these kind of things, because then I feel like it just kind of like cements it into my reality. That fear, even on an unconscious level, I try to avoid it. I try to be aware of what's going on without diving too deep into it. Just because I don't like to feed into the actual vibration of it itself, because everything is vibration, and every time we connect with anything, consciously, unconsciously, we think about it, we're connecting to its vibration and feeding it in a way. Yeah. Using the last little grip they have on our fear, the last little bit of fear that we haven't fully cleared as a collective, they're using that to their advantage. You know, the negative polarity aspects, I guess you could say. I hate saying like the good guys or the bad guys or the elites or whatever. I have a hard time seeing as anybody even as separate anymore, just because of the way that my perception is with kind of how things work. I just see everything as like just another aspect of me playing out this different role, this different experience, this different reality potentiality, and there's always something to learn from each little bit. Yeah, too much fear mongering in the news. I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV either. And I can't even hardly like watch like movies anymore. I'm so picky. I'm like, my husband has a hard time finding movies that we can watch together, because he still likes watching like other, you know, like, I don't know, like action and thriller and stuff like that, and I just can't do that. I can't watch those movies anymore. I need something that is either gonna like excite me like in a way where it's gonna like I can like, it's a story or something that's gonna excite my imagination, or it's got to be something that's like informational. Yes, yes, totally. Yes, exactly. That's so perfect. Ridiculous. Yes. So just like your own magic wand. Ridiculous. uh, um, yeah. Gaia. I've watched some of the stuff on YouTube that they have, some of their free stuff. Oh, no, you didn't bring any negativity. I'm sure that somebody out there is going to want to hear a perspective on that, and mine is my own, and it's going to be different than other people's. And I think the more perspectives we hear and are open to, whether we agree with them or not, is going to expand our own perspective and our own consciousness. And you have to try to, yeah. Uh, let's see. Has anybody been practicing light language? I've had a couple people say that they've been doing light language. I don't know if they've necessarily just started doing it because of the last live stream, but I hope that it inspired some people to do light language, or to at least do it more. try not to let your mind be too consumed. The more you allow it to be consumed, the more you're going to essentially draw that into your reality. I'm not trying to say that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that's kind of how energy works. It's like what you think about is what will eventually appear in front of you. Our mind is where the reality starts, or it's where the reality is built. It's built in here, and then it has to, like, you know, project its way out. So oh, you love the light language. Oh, you started speaking it a year ago. I did too. Well, a little over a year ago. Oh my gosh. So it was 2018 summer solstice, or yeah, summer solstice? No. Autumn equinox, 2018. That was when I had my big awakening, and then after that was when I got into light language. It's been a year. Okay, so did you watch my live stream from last week about light language yet? Because there is some good information on that live stream specifically about light language and how I got started. Oh, well, follow this channel and you'll find plenty of people who speak light language, because, wow, I have just been finding, like, all of my sister and brother family, and not all of them speak light language, but so many of you guys do, and it's been so reassuring for me, because I was so kind of silly feeling when I first started speaking light language, when I first kind of started bringing it out into the public, and then connecting with other people who also spoke it. It helped made me feel like I wasn't completely like, woo, what's going on with her type of thing going on. Yes, so Kundalini, light language definitely is huge reason that my Kundalini was able to heal, activate, and rise. And it's, you know, it goes up and down. I have my good days and my bad days, but yeah, light language has really been a huge prominent aspect of activating my Kundalini and healing and allowing it to kind of work properly. Oh, you told me about that. So maybe, yeah, maybe it was an aspect of you that finished its experience, its cycle, it played out whatever role it needed to play, and that fragment or fractal of you no longer needed to play out that experience, and he was just kind of getting a peep of that last little moment into the transition of your own return back, essentially, your own finishing of the cycle, the transition, the 13th point, I guess you could say. Alright. Because not only outside of us do we have the triangle aspects, it's within us as well. I could go all day with triangles. I would just bore the heck out of you guys. I find them everywhere. They're everywhere. It's just, it's crazy. All right. Let's see. I keep trying to read the last chat and it keeps jumping back to the bottom. I'm having a hard time getting caught up. Hold on. Excuse me. Okay, it says, I could speak it when I was a teen, but it got suppressed and it hasn't come back yet. Oh, I didn't know you spoke light language. Well, we're gonna have to work on that. Oh, and here I am feeling it like right in the back of my neck. Oh, something unconscious going on with your throat chakra, girl. It might also be connected a little bit to your DNA. I know, like, when I access the DNA, I access it through the back of the neck, so let's do some DNA activations. Maybe we'll do that on the next Or maybe I'll just do a personal video. That way I can really sit down and get hardcore grounded and get my vibrations up. It's easier for me to channel when I do the videos, like the singular videos, because I'll sit there and like channel and get really my vibration up really high for like a good hour before I even start recording. A programmed version of you ended? Yes, exactly. Goodbye, old John. Doesn't need to exist anymore. It played out whatever it needed to experience. Feeling a lot more leveled. What is SMR? Joan, I have no idea what that is. Oh, we don't judge you. Nobody judge. We don't have judgies here. I think all of us has had our own, you know, periods where we found ourselves in lower states of vibration. I personally have had issues with lower states of vibration in the past, so it's never anything to feel guilty of. It's just something that you had to experience in order to gain a certain perspective. And there's no reason to look down on yourself or anybody to look down on you for it. You know, and it was funny because I was actually just having this conversation with my sister, who is a recovering addict, and she was talking about how she used to, when she would get really loaded, like start drawing like symbols and stuff like that. That was a lot like my light language. And I was like, well, we're gonna help you learn how to tap into that aspect of yourself without having to get, you know, to a point of numbness where you're so dissociated from your body because of, you know, the things that you're taking that you start channeling. Because then you're not channeling things that are necessarily of your highest good, because you're not in a state of high vibration. So, and that's something that she had to experience, and that's something that certain people have to experience, so that when they come to their state of conscious evolution, that aspect of them has already been like essentially figured out and taken care of, and they can learn from that. And because of my sister going through those experiences, now as she's kind of experiencing her spirituality on the other side, her gifts are really powerful, and she's able to tap into them like so intensely and like impressively, like for such a newbie. You know, so and I think some of that has to do with some of her past experiences in kind of experiencing those in the lower forms, opening that up and then having to transcend it and positive polarize. Yeah, and you will be sober when you access your kundalini again. That is a potentiality for your future if that's what you want. And anybody can do it. It's not super easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of breath work. For me, I did a lot of breath work and light language, a lot of breath work and a lot of light language to get my kundalini to activate. And then even then, like each chakra, as it activates, it has to hit each chakra, and every chakra that has issues, you're going to go through a massive purge as it's hitting that chakra, and then you have that pain that you have to deal with, and then it gets to another chakra, and it's like each chakra you have to go through as it moves its way all the way up. It's when you get through all those chakras as that kundalini is rising, that's when you finally get up here. That's when you get to that bliss state. That's when it's like, oh, I'm one with everything type state. Yeah, meditation gets me loaded, man. That's why sometimes, like, I'll start a video, like, after I've been, like, super meditating, and I get the Chinese eyes, like, super bad. I'm like, ee. That's probably why Buddha always looked like this. Yes, I believe so. I think drugs were definitely introduced to suppress our abilities because they definitely did a good job of that. But we all found our way out. Sound vibration sober. You can feel the heat. Well, and you know, you just start in the beginning just barely feeling it. And then the more and more clear your chakra becomes, and the more you work with the energy, the more you feel it, the more sensitive you become to the energy itself, and then it becomes intense. You need to do more shadow work. So, when you want to work with your shadow, my biggest advice is look at patterns. Look at your incarnation right now, because everything exists right now. Anything from past lives that needs to be fixed is existing now, right now, just in a parallel experience. So look at your right now. Look at what parts of your life are out of balance. Find where that imbalance is, and if you can feel it in a specific chakra, take it to the chakra, and then be like, okay, chakra, what can we do to bring you back in balance? So say, let's see, dreams of, oh, okay, so you feel like you're blocked or something, you were having dreams of demonic succubus nature. So that's telling me right there, right off the bat, you're working a lot with the lower chakras. So with fear and with your sexuality, so the root and the sacral chakra, a lot. And if you're getting a lot of stuff that's having to do with like either, we'll just leave it at those two for now. Okay, so yeah. So maybe you have a shadow aspect that is playing out a polarity experience as a succubus, or has a succubus or demonic type nature. This is an aspect that is playing out that experience that would be essentially like a fragmented aspect, which would be what some people view as the subconscious, which is like different fragmented aspects playing out their roles, and we can tap into them and get information from them. And that's what we view as our past and our future parallel life potentialities. This is how we get information, and this is why people learn how to read the Akashic records, because the Akashic records essentially hold all of this information. So let's see. And then survival, yeah, so that is your stability, your roots, your foundation, that is all in the root chakra. Your survival is all carried in the root chakra. And then you have, you know, the emotional body, and then your ancestral body, and, you know, the sexuality and all of that carried into the sacral. And your root chakra really affects that. So, because the root is like that Kundalini energy, and it's also, you know, part of the sexual energy as well. So if you were having dreams, there's maybe an aspect of you that is holding on to some kind of guilt, fear, shame connected to your sexuality, and it's manifesting in the form of these dreams. But really, it's gonna be connected to maybe some kind of a fear connected to your own sexuality, and this could be something that you're experiencing right now. I hope that helped, Leanne. I hope that helped and wasn't too much. I try not to tell people how to be or how to like feel about certain things. I just want to try to give guidance from my own perspective. Oh, have I ever communicated with dragons? Yes, actually one of the first, besides fairies, of course, the things that I started seeing in my mind's eye as I started connecting with like different beings was dragons. So I actually have a video where I talk about when I connected with like a mother dragon on Mother's Day, and it was a really beautiful experience, and she took me into inner earth through like a portal in Mount Shasta. It was really cool. Yeah. All right, let's see. You manifested a dragon, Hannah Mori? dragon guide? I would love to hear more about it. Let's see. We got, oh, John Binney went on a ghost bus tour with your daughter and your friends last night in ancient Edinburgh, Scotland. Ooh, you could see all the spirits? Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh. I want to go on like one of those spirit journeys and kind of intermingle with them. I love haunted houses and creepy stuff. I don't know why. Is it weird to have a dragon partner? No, not at all. I don't think so at all. No. I think that we all have, well, I wouldn't say we all. I know I have a dragon guide. I know that many others do as well. Let's see. What does that say? You've heard about the excitement? I'm not sure. Are we still talking about dragons? Oh, good. So if you don't feel like your third eye is open, then that is totally okay. So this is just the first part. This is the fun part. This is before you even get to start seeing things. This is when you get to like go back to that childhood imagination and you start using your imagination to create visualizations. So for most people, when their third eye is completely closed, what they see when they close their eyes is just black. So one of the first things you start to do as your third eye starts to open is that blackness becomes like, you know, you'll start to see like lights, kind of lights. And then you'll start to notice within that blackness and with those lights, you'll start to maybe see some color. And maybe it'll start out very faint. It'll just be a very faint color. And then that color will become more vibrant and more vivid the more you kind of pay attention to it. And then after a while, you'll start noticing that their color has movement. And then you'll see that it has direction, and then it'll start moving around the room. And then you'll start noticing that there's more than one color in the room. And then you'll start tuning into the different colors and the different frequencies of the room and the different directions that they're moving. Some are moving this way, some are moving this way, some are this color and some are that color, and some are kind of spiraling in circles over here. And then you'll also start to be able to look around the room and be like, what is going on over in that corner? There is some static going on over there. And then you're like, that does not seem harmonious with what I'm seeing over here. So you get your little smudge stick or whatever you use and you clear it. And then all of a sudden, the static is like cleared out, and all of a sudden you see all these beautiful energetic colors moving around. And that was kind of my experience as my third eye started to open. I never really had the full black like other people have, but it started out as the flickering lights. And I was getting a lot of like a circle, like almost like a circle light, like, and it would be like, and then I would get like like, you know how like if you look at bright lights and then you close your eyes and you see all the reflections of them. So that, and then I started noticing that there was like colors, and I was like, And then the other funny thing, I started noticing that like if I would wave my hand in front of my eyes with my eyes, I was like, oh, I can see my hand, but it's not my hand. It's like a stream of light, but it looks like my hand, but it's light. And I'm moving it back and forth in front of my head. I'm like, whew, that is so weird. And it's like flashing in front of my face. And I'm like, So I start putting my hands on, I'm like, so I can see myself wiggling my fingers, and I can see like the outline of my hands, and it's got this like kind of glow to it, this like a little bit of a bluish glow to it, like outside of my hands. I'm like, how funny is that? Okay. So I start looking around my room, and I'm like, can I see the outline of anything else? So I start noticing the things that I can see the outlines of are like windows, like my TV screen, like if my phone was sitting down right in front of me, and if my phone was turned on and there was like a symbol or anything like on the screen of my phone, I could start to make out like what that was. And so that's like kind of one of the things that I started experiencing as my third eye starts to open. And it's still not fully open. Like I wish I could see more. I still feel like I'm in those early stages of it opening. dragon. Well, some people, they still have fear, and that could be just because there's, you know, aspects of them that haven't integrated that polarity yet, and so they're still existing in a state of fear. You know, there are blind people that can see through their third eye, actually. I don't know if you guys have heard of Bob Baba Yaga or something like that. Baba Yaga, I think it's something like that. She's like this blind lady that could just touch somebody and see everything about them. Her third eye was wide open. These two eyes didn't work, but that one did. And I'm pretty sure there's more people like that. Like, you can talk to blind people who are blind, and they say they can't see, but they still can like experience stuff inside their mind. That's why a lot of blind people will listen to music, because to them music is like colors. 23, 32, 32. So to me, if I put those together, that's change. So shifting out of that duality phase of 2 into the 3, so change. That's what I see when I see those numbers. You saw a documentary about clairvoyance? And an Irish guy that was blind, see? Yeah, I knew there was more than just the blind. I don't even know if I'm saying her name right. It's like Baba Yaga or something like that. My lower back just popped. Oh, I feel ya, Leon. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's back in 2014, and it has been a long journey. Actually, it was the Hashimoto's that brought me into my spirituality, because I got so sick. I was convinced I only had like a year left to live. And I completely changed my diet. I started doing the Dr. Sebi diet, and that was really the what started changing everything. I started the Dr. Sebi diet, and it was after I had started the Dr. Sebi diet that I started like expanding my consciousness. And it was like a 6-month period transition from when I started the diet to when I did the spell in autumn equinox that essentially woke me up, brought me out of my sleep. You've seen a smiley spider? So spiders was one of the first familiars I had. When I first had my awakening, I started connecting with the spider I had in my bathroom, and I would meditate and I would talk to the spider all the time, and I became very, very attached to the spider. And it was really funny because I'm terrified of spiders, and it was just this one spider. I just got so attached to her, and then she just disappeared after a while. She was there for a good year or so, and then she's been gone for a couple months now. I don't think she's coming back. I don't know how long spiders live. I don't think they live very long. but yeah, it was the autoimmune disease that made me forced to heal myself. And yeah, I think it has a lot to do with highly spiritual people, vibration people that have been like suppressed, and so their bodies start essentially like destroying themselves. For me, I work a lot with the heart and the throat, and my health problems were very much connected to the heart and the throat. I had really, really high blood pressure. I was at risk for stroke, you know, in my 20s. And then I also had thyroid disease, so it was just like having a lot of problems with my heart and my throat. And those are 2 of the chakras that I've really had to work with a lot. And then also my solar plexus, and so that's a lot in the gut. And my inner child has had to do tons and tons of work working with my inner child. Also working with my healing the polarities, dealing with power. I have past lives where I, was abusive with power, so I have to see when that tries to play its role again in this reality, so that I can heal the whole integration of that polarity, so that it doesn't have to reincarnate and try to re-heal and repolarize and integrate and all that. I just want to get it done now with my awareness. I want to see all the parallels of my polarities as they come into my reality now, because they will show themselves in your reality now. It's seeing them, seeing the patterns, and understanding where it is and what it's coming from. And when you heal that, you heal all those other aspects that are connected to that polarity. Medical medium. No, I do not. That does not sound familiar. So the diet name was the Dr. Sebi diet. And it's an alkaline diet. I did the vegan alkaline diet, but I think that there's some people who still eat meat that can do an alkaline meat diet. I personally do the vegan alkaline. But it's the alkaline is the key, because no disease can exist in an alkaline environment, not even cancer. So it's getting my body to an alkaline state that I was getting to, and it was alkalizing my physicality that allowed me to expand my consciousness, to essentially pull me out of the sleep that I was in. So your mental state and health is what inspired your spiritual journey, mine as well. And maybe that's part of the reason why, you know, we incarnated with those, so that those would be the things that triggered us, the things that woke us up, and the things that allowed us to not only heal ourselves in this incarnation, but any other path potentialities that are connected to that specific frequency that is just existing in a parallel representation of that. Yeah, cleaning your karma. Exactly. Because everything can be done in this now through our own awareness. We don't have to essentially look at past or future lives. We just have to look at the patterns that are being shown to us as a parallel representation of whatever needs to be fixed, whatever needs to be healed. That's why we need to really, really pay attention to our triggers and our shadows, because they're showing us exactly what it is that still needs to be integrated. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, alkaline is really going to help, and DMT is really going to help with the activation of the Kundalini, because that is what essentially is activated through the Kundalini, is your natural DMT reservoir as it kind of circulates. I don't know if you've ever seen the diagrams where they show the fluid as it circulates up and then back down. It's like a continuous process, and that's why you have to keep your chakras clear, so that the flow can always be continuous. It's when we get blocks in those chakras that the flow, it's not continuous anymore, and that's when we deal with pain, and that's when we deal with chaos, and that's when we deal with having to fix these triggers and these experiences, by having experiences essentially, and by seeing them for what they are and healing them. All right. Meeting energies not from this realm. Exactly. We're hitting all of these nexus points right now, and we're it's like all of these other aspects of self that we're seeing are just different dimensional time-space continuum potentialities of evolution. Say you do this, you evolve into that. Say you do that, you evolve into this. You do this, you evolve into that. And it creates all these different constructs that we could view as us, and we can learn from all of those different constructs by seeing, these guys did that right, they did that wrong, they did this right, they did that wrong. Take all of that information, take it into now, and expand it upwards. Let's see. How do you feel about yoga, Leanne? Getting into yoga. That's what I need to do more. I need to do it better, and I need to be more consistent with it. But yoga is like huge for healing my spine problems, I'll tell you what. And it really gets that energy flow, like any of those kinks that get kind of locked up in your spine, especially right there. I get it really bad right here in the back of my heart chakra, like right there in between my shoulder blades. Really intense if I don't properly clear that energy. Let's see. Oh yeah, and you know, they say that the psilocybin mushrooms, they've been able to show how they essentially do like a brain reset. So when we go through trauma, we not only fragment into all these other different realities, playing out all these different potentialities based on whatever that trauma is until they play out whatever they need to play. Our brain wires also break and fragment. So when you go through the healing process, because we all have the power to heal and to essentially rewire our brains, stuff like breathing exercises, yoga, clearing the energy is really what's going to help create the environment needed for the fragmentation, the damage that was created, to begin to come back together and heal itself. Just in the same way as we as individual aspects of source separate, fragment, and then heal and come back together. Ooh, hot yoga. That sounds amazing. I want to do some hot yoga. Get my sweat on. Ooh, yeah. I could dig that. Kundalini yoga. Oh, nice. Cool. Okay, so yeah, highly recommended. Yes, I need to practice yoga more so much. I'm like talking about it and my body's like, we want it. We want it. Why won't you do it? You only talk about it. We need to do it more. Even my daughter, she was talking about it today. Mom, we haven't done yoga in a long time. I know. She likes doing yoga with me. Oh, you don't have any in your area? I bet we have some here. There's so many yoga studios in this town that I live in. Oh my God. I'm in kind of a hippie town. It's funny because when I lived here before, when I grew up here, it was such like a hick town. It was like rednecks. Everybody wore cowboy boots and drove trucks. And, you know, it was super, very, very singular. Very singular. I don't want to get into the whole race situation, but I was teased a lot as a kid for being so dark because I grew up in a place that was very singular. All right, we have a troll in the chat. Oh my God. Let's see if we can get rid of him. Don't just ignore this troll. I gotta figure out how to get rid of these people. It's like there's... Sorry guys, sorry about the troll. Gotta figure out how to find his thing so I can get rid of him. My computer has a lag, so I can't do it from here. Okay. All right, I don't know how to. Oh. I don't want to be your friend because you're messing with my chat. I'm trying to have a serious conversation and you're bringing your immaturity in here. I can't deal with this right now. I got too many kids already. Here. All right. So I'm not tech savvy enough to figure out how to make anybody a moderator or to get rid of this guy. So just ignore him. All right. Does anybody else have any more questions? I totally got off track. I don't know how to make you a mod, Soul Moons. You're gonna have to tell me how to make people mods. People keep saying, oh, make me a mod and I'll help you. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that even. I wish I could. 3 outs at the, I know, it won't let me do that on my phone, and it's signed in on my other account on here, because for some reason when I try to stream from my computer on my name from here, and then from here, it won't let me do it. So it's like I can only do one or the other. I have to be signed into separate accounts. And I don't know if that's just the platform that I'm using, and I just need to invest in a better one. Yes, I know I said I was going to do breath work this time, but I'm going to do it next time. Yeah. All mods will betray you. You must be a gamer. Oh, that's funny. All right. All right. So I'm actually just gonna cut this chat short anyways, because it is 2 hours now I have been on this, and then I will figure out how to make, hey Priscilla, we are actually just about to close out, but definitely watch the replay. I'm not putting any energy into getting rid of you. I'm actually just gonna close out the chat because it has been 2 hours and I have been talking for 2 hours. I'm sure you guys are probably getting sick of me. So if anybody has any more questions, go ahead and throw them in real quick. And John, I know I said I was going to do the breathwork meditation this time, but I will definitely do the breathwork meditation next time, okay? You're off to meditate. Sending you all my love. I know, 2 hours. I can't believe it. I'm a bit tired. Oh, Priscilla, thank you so much. And any other questions? I don't see any other questions. I know it went so fast, it really did. But I am starting to feel a little bit tired. So I know it's about time. Okay, so I love you all so much.